Study Session 9. Dyslexia as a specific learning disability. Introduction. This lecture focuses on dyslexia. This is another form of disability, though a specific learning disability. The lecture will provide you with alternative definitions of dyslexia and explanations on each of them. The causes of dyslexia will be explained. Likewise, phonemic awareness and phonological processing and phonics. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to 1. Explain what dyslexia is all about. 2. Identify various causes of dyslexia. And 3. Establish understanding between phonemic awareness and phonological processing and phonics. Content. Historical perspective. Before the National Institute of Health began their research in the 1980s, the only definition of dyslexia was an exclusionary one. If a child's difficulty with reading could not be explained by low intelligence, poor eyesight, poor hearing, inadequate educational opportunities, or any other problem, then the child must be dyslexic. That definition was not satisfactory to parents, teachers, or researchers. So here are 3 different definitions in use today. Simple definition. Dyslexia is an inherited condition that makes it extremely difficult to read, write, and spell in your native language, despite at least average intelligence. Revised definition from the International Dyslexia Association. Dyslexia is a neurological-based, often familial disorder which interferes with acquisition and processing of language. Varying in degrees of severity, it is manifested by difficulties in receptive and expressive language, including phonological processing, in reading, writing, spelling, handwriting, and sometimes in arithmetic. Dyslexia is not the result of lack of motivation, sensory impairment, inadequate instructional or environmental opportunities, or other limiting conditions, but may occur together with these conditions. Although dyslexia is a lifetime disorder, individuals with dyslexia frequently respond successfully to timely and appropriate intervention. Research definition used by the National Institute of Health. Dyslexia is a specific learning disability that is neurological in origin. It is characterized by difficulties with accurate and/or fluent word recognition, and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. These difficulties typically result from a deficit in the phonological component of language that is often unexpected in relation to other cognitive abilities, and the provision of effective classroom instruction. Secondary consequences may include problems in reading comprehension and reduced reading experience that can impede growth of vocabulary and background knowledge. Dyslexia. Pronounced dyslexia is a type of learning disability. A person with a learning disability has trouble processing words or numbers. There are several kinds of learning disabilities. Dyslexia is the term used when people have difficulty learning to read. Even though they are smart enough and are motivated to learn. The word dyslexia comes from 2 Greek words. Dys, which means abnormal or impaired, and lexis, which refers to language or words. Dyslexia is not a disease. It's a condition that you are born with, and it often runs in families. People with dyslexia are not stupid or lazy. Most have average or above average intelligence, and they work very hard to overcome their learning problems. Causes of dyslexia. Dyslexia is an inherited condition. Researchers have determined that a gene on the short arm of chromosome 6 is responsible for dyslexia. That gene is dominant, making dyslexia highly heritable. It definitely runs in families. Dyslexia results from a neurological difference, that is, a brain difference. People with dyslexia have a larger right hemisphere in their brains than those of normal readers. That may be one reason people with dyslexia often have significant strengths in areas controlled by the right side of the brain, such as artistic, athletic, and mechanical gifts, 3D visualization ability, musical talent, creative problem-solving skills, and intuitive people skills. In addition to unique brain architecture, people with dyslexia have unusual wiring. Neurons are found in unusual places in the brain and are not as neatly ordered as in non-dyslexia brains. In addition to unique brain architecture and unusual wiring, studies have shown that people with dyslexia do not use the same parts of their brain when reading as other people. Regular readers consistently use the same part of their brain when they read. People with dyslexia do not use that part of their brain, and there appears to be no consistent part used among dyslexic readers. It is therefore assumed that people with dyslexia are not using the most efficient part of their brain when they read. A different part of their brain has taken over that function. Phonemic awareness. Quotes from prominent NIH researchers. The lack of phonemic awareness is the most powerful determinant of the likelihood of failure to learn or read. Phonemic awareness is more highly related to learning to read than tests of general intelligence, reading readiness, and listening comprehension. Phonemic awareness is the most important core and causal factor separating normal and disabled readers. NIH research has repeatedly demonstrated that lack of phonemic awareness is the root cause of reading failure. Phonemes are the smallest unit of spoken language, not written language. Children who lack phonemic awareness are unable to distinguish or manipulate sounds within spoken words or syllables. They will be unable to do the following task. 1. Phoneme segmentation. What sounds do you hear in the word ought? What is the last sound in the word map? 2. Phoneme deletion. What sound will be left if the K sound were taken away from the cat? 3. Phoneme matching. Do pen and pipe start with the same sound? 4. Phoneme counting. How many sounds do you hear in the word cake? 5. Phoneme substitution. What word will you have if you change the H in ought to P? 6. Blending. What word will you have if you put the sounds together? S, A, T. 7. Rhyming. Tell me as many words as you can that rhyme with the word eat. If a child lacks phonemic awareness, they would have difficulty learning the relationship between letters and the sounds they represent in words, as well as applying those letters or sound correspondences to help them sound out unknown words. So children who perform poorly on phonemic awareness task via oral language in kindergarten are very likely to experience difficulties acquiring the early word reading skills that provide the foundation for growth of reading ability throughout elementary school. Phonemic awareness skills can and must be directly and explicitly taught to children who lack this awareness. Phonological processing and phonics. Phonemic awareness must exist or be explicitly and directly taught before phonics instruction begins. Otherwise, the phonics instruction will not make sense to the dyslexic child. Phonological processing refers to understanding of sounds used in our language, ranging from big chunks of words or sounds to smaller chunks, syllables, and eventually to phonemic awareness, every sound within a syllable. Both phonemic awareness and phonological processing are auditory processing skills. Therefore, they can and should be taught before letters are introduced. The goal of teaching phonics is to link the individual sounds to letters and to make that process fluent and automatic for both reading and spelling. In other words, phonics teaches students symbol to sound and sound to symbol. But for phonics to work, a student must first have solid phonological processing and phonemic awareness. Summary. In this lecture, we have discussed the concept of dyslexia. In this wise, we first defined the subject matter, described each type of the phenomenon, and also discussed the causes: phonemic awareness, phonological processing, and phonics. End of study session 9. Thank you for listening.